please. 666. Dun dun dun. Right? I mean, I don't know about y'all, but you know, this was a subject of terror for me as a kid.
Of course. Same here, man.
Okay?
Any number even pop near it, I was like, don't even try it.
Okay? A friend of mine who's a police officer, when he first got his phone number, the exchange was 666. He was like, I'm not taking that number. Literally, they offered him 212-666 something. He's like, no, you gotta give me a different number. Because he wasn't taking on the number of the beast. I kid you not.
It's creepy.
It's creepy.
Okay?
But from what we know of it, it was creepy.
Yeah.
It was the mark, but we realize like now we see that it's not the number.
Right. So let's dig into this, shall we? Revelation 13:16-18. And he requires everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on his right hand or on his forehead. So we used to think that was a microchip or a tattoo or a barcode, right? That's going to be implanted, right? So that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, the beast's name, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. The one who has understanding must calculate the number of the beast. Because it is the number of a man, his number is 666. But think about it. That's what's happening right now and has been happening since John's time. The pattern is simple. If you refuse to play ball with the beast, you are labeled, then you are alienated, then you are ostracized, then you are excluded.
That's true.
Right? So the reality of this then is that the sealing of one side leads to alienation and exclusion from the affairs of the other side. Once again, it depends on whose side you're on. If you are sealed by God, you are the enemy of Satan and you face Satan's wrath. If you're sealed by Satan, you're the enemy of God and you face his wrath.
Yes.
David said, fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. Psalm 37. And he says, what? For the wicked, like the grass, shall be cut down, and wither like the green herb, but the righteous shall inherit the land and dwell therein forever. So if you refuse to play ball, you're going to face being labeled, alienated, ostracized, and excluded. So, as you know, I've had this book, G.K. Beale's Commentary on the Revelation. I took it out of the library at NYU over a year ago. I keep renewing it. I haven't taken it back. So, he has a shorter version, a shorter commentary on Revelation, which I'm probably going to buy or ask somebody to get me as a Father's Day gift. And so, this one...
No.
And I'll take the major commentary back to the library and keep the shorter one. Okay? It's only $21 at Barnes & Noble.
Only? No.
Yes, so anyway.
Shameless.
Yes.
Shameless. Shameless.
But listen to what it says. This is one of the most debated verses in the entire book of Revelation because of widespread disagreement over the identification and meaning of the number 666. The most common line of interpretation is that of gematria. In the ancient world, letters of the alphabet often substituted for numerals. Our numerical system derives from the later Arabic mathematicians. Hence, each letter stood for a number. The problem is that no clear identification can be made linking 666 with any particular historical ancient name. Attempts have been made to alter spellings and incorporate titles to try and make a multitude of names fit, but nothing conclusive has emerged. Most commonly, the number has been identified with Nero on the basis of a Hebrew transliteration of the title Nero Caesar. However, this option flounders on confusion concerning the exact Hebrew spelling of Caesar and does not fit the fact that John's readers were largely Greek-speaking and that Nero had many titles other than Caesar. Additionally, if John were using gematria, he would have alerted his readers by saying something like, the number in Hebrew or Greek is blah, 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 as he uses the phrases in Hebrew or in Greek in chapter 9, verse 11, and chapter 16, 16, when he wants to draw the reader's attention to certain significance. If the number were intended to be identified with some ruler by means of such a literal calculation, it would be a rare exception from the way numbers are employed elsewhere in the book. Numbers throughout Revelation have figurative significance and symbolize some spiritual reality. None involves any kind of literal gematria calculation. For example, 24 elders, 7 seals, 144,000, 3.5 years, 2 witnesses, 7 heads, and so on, 10 horns. The position is supported from the immediately following vision in chapter 14, verse 1, of saints with Christ and God's name, quote unquote, written on their foreheads. The direct placement of this verse shows a parallel contrast is meant between the beast's name and his number and the Lord's name. If the Lord's name refers to a purely spiritual reality, which it does, then so does the beast's name and number. That make sense?
Mostly.
So since it goes on, Steve, grab it from there.
In addition, the word number, Greek arithmos, is always used figuratively to connote an uncountable multitude, as in 5:11 and 7:4, 144,000 standing symbolically for all the saved, in 7:9 in verbal form, 9:16 twice, 20 verse 8. Neither is the number meant to be calculated here. The number 7 refers to completeness and is repeated throughout the book. However, 666 appears only here. This suggests that the triple sixes are intended as a contrast with the divine sevens throughout the book and signify incompleteness and imperfection. The 6th seal, the 6th trumpet, and the 6th bowl depict God's judgment on the followers of the beast. The 7th trumpet, by contrast, portrays the eternal kingdom of Christ, though it also includes the final judgment. The 7th seal and bowl still depict a judgment, but one that, by implication, and in the broader context of these two passages, eventuates in the establishment of the kingdom. Furthermore, if the number of the 144,000 saints in the following verse has the figurative force of signifying the complete number of God's people, as in on 14:1, then the intentional contrast with the number 666 in the preceding verse would refer to the beast and his people as inherently incomplete, as in triple incomplete, like thrice holy. I got it, okay. The number 3 in the Bible signifies completeness, as, for example, is expressed by the completeness of the Godhead in 1:4-5, which is parodied by the dragon, beast, and false prophet here in chapter 13, and in 16, verse 13. A better approach, the repetition of 6 3 times seems to indicate what might be called the completeness of sinful incompleteness found in the beast. The completeness of sinful incompleteness. The beast epitomizes imperfection while appearing to achieve divine perfection. 3 6s parodies the divine trinity of the 3 7s. Sometimes the number 7 is appropriate to apply to the devil or beast in order to emphasize their thoroughgoing evil nature, severe persecution, and universal reign of oppression. For example, 12 verse 3, 13:1, 17:3, and 9 through 11. The reason for using 6s instead of 7s to describe the beast in verse 18 is because of the repeated emphasis in verses 3 through 14 upon the beast as a counterfeit Christ and the second beast as a counterfeit prophet. When believers successfully resist the beast's deception, they avoid being identified with the essence of his name, which is imperfection personified. For to be identified with someone's name is equivalent to partaking of that person's character. Like Achan and his family.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Which is why, right?
Thrice unholy.
And you have other people that get new names in the Bible, right? Because your name is symbolic of your character. Taking on somebody's name, taking on that person's character. So, what are we learning here? That this thing is not something that needs to be fearful. That this whole idea of an antichrist is, while there may arise a single person that then becomes symbolic of the entire enterprise, right? What we've got to understand is that these two beasts have been in action the entire time.
And we've been focusing on the wrong things.
And we've been focusing on the wrong things. Hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok.
We've been in the poppy field.
That's right.
We've been in the poppy field. Because the things that should have been focused on, they were introduced, and people said, oh, that was the devil, and they just kept mowing on through and not really recognizing. These are the things that are slowly changing or trying to change your mind about the parameters in which we live in.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Really is a smaller list of what is not anti.
The road
because
is narrow.
So much.
Right? The road is narrow. But at least we are being given tools to navigate the road. Okay? We have an advantage over people that are just stumbling blindly along. Yeah. So that's it.
It's a lot to chew on.
Yeah. Yes, it is. There's a lot to chew on. But most of it, I think, are things that we have expected because we've been walking through this and kind of seeing this in a broader way and in a more complete way. This isn't so surprising, right? This isn't like all of a sudden, what? It's not like that.
And it makes sense even more. It makes sense even more why this is the revelation. It makes. I don't know if I'm kind of. It makes sense why this is the revelation. This is it's revealing what's going on right now. Not as opposed to how I looked at it before, something that is to happen. It is something that's going on right now. Right now.
Yeah.
That's a little creepy.
But isn't it better?
But it is. I want to know.
Right. It's better to know.
Yes, because there's strength in knowing, there's understanding in knowing, and there's less fear. I think there's some less fear in knowing.
That's right.
And knowing what's coming and what's coming at me. And it's funny because I cannot help but equate this to my job. And what makes some of the things, bearable is because I see it already.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, I don't know what to do about the seeing for some things. In this case, for us, in terms of the world and society, I think I'm not sure what we're to do either. Is it just that we pray? Is there an acknowledgement that we see what it is and we pray? That we just we continue to make sure we study so that we're not hoodwinked, that we're not, being lulled in some, by the second beast into looking at something that looks like it's Christ and it's not. I'm kind of answering the question and asking the question and answering the question at the same time. I think, because we can really get lulled, easy. And I'm looking a little bit. I'm going, really, there's not a time you should let yourself just be comfortable with what is.
That's right. That's right.
That we have to keep looking and making sure that these things are our lives are heading us toward Christ, because it's easy to just get comfortable with what is, and that's how sin is. It's subtle. It's subtle, and it takes time, and it'll take as much time as it needs to become this full-blown thing. And next thing you know, well, how did we get here? How did we get here?
It's incremental.
I don't want any surprises like that. I mean, I'm sure that they're gonna be, because we still have to wrestle until we leave here. But for the most part, I don't want that. I don't want that.
What you thinking, man?
I have always preferred knowing the truth, even when it hurts. A lie is empty. Going through emotion as though the truth isn't about to do what it does is, I don't think there's a greater waste